Okay, first off, congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
You are holed up in LA, correct?
I am indeed. Yeah, during a heat wave. It's really hot in my apartment.
World's tiniest violin.
Exactly.
You know, what can I tell you? We're supposed to get snow this weekend here in Toronto.
I heard. I'm kind of glad I'm here right now.
Yeah. So how's it been for you, Christian? Like, just, you know, adapting to this. It's been almost now 2 months for all of us. And you as an actor, I mean, you know, listen, I know actors go through things where you're waiting for roles and things, but not anything like this.
It is a little strange. Like you said, I am used to downtime between gigs, so I'm pretty good at organizing my day. And I like to write, so I've been, you know, working on some writing projects during this time. So I'm good at organizing my time normally between gigs to feel productive and to get things done. But what's different about this is there's this kind of existential dread of like, what is going on in the world? Are my parents okay back in Canada and all my friends, and I can't see them? And there's this extra added stress to it. So I find that's been a large part of the process, is just trying to like remain calm, try not to stress too much, and just keep plugging in. Like other generations have had to sacrifice and do so much worse than what we're doing right now. We have the internet, we have every movie and TV show at our fingertips.
Exactly.
Books on ebooks. Like it's not the toughest thing in the world, and yet it is. You know, it is a very bizarre time. But I'm holding up, and you know, just trying to take this time to be as productive as possible, because I want to come out of this time with something to show for it.
Understood.
And so I'm, you know, right now just finishing the first draft of a screenplay that I've been working on for way too long, but it really feels like this is
your time.
Yeah. It's like, if you don't come out of quarantine with this bloody script,
you'll never get it done.
I would be so mad at myself. So I'm so close to the end, and it'll feel great when I sort of get that first bad draft out of the way and can start crafting it more. But that's what I've been doing.
Fantastic. That's great. That's good to hear. So Red Rover, this is something that you shot a couple years ago. So it's finally where everyone's going to.
5 years ago now at this point.
I mean, it's amazing, but everyone's going to be able to get a chance to see it on video on demand, which is fantastic. The character that you play, Damon, is a little different from some stuff that we've seen you do over the years, and it's a great role, and you really play him with such heart, and I just felt for him the whole time. And I was thinking as I'm watching this movie, going, wow, what a perfect time for this to kind of come out, because here's a guy who's going through a little bit of a depression. He's not having a good time in his life right at the moment. And he gets this opportunity. Hey, I'm going to take this opportunity and fly to Mars. Don't we all want to kind of do that right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's in isolation, essentially. I mean, he gets fired from his job, and he lives in this basement apartment underneath the house that he bought with his ex. And she's still living upstairs with her new boyfriend, who of course is ridiculously handsome, and you know, like, he is in isolation. He's a jerk. He's a jerk. He's great. Morgan does such a good job playing. You know, I think a lot of people can relate right now to this isolation and loneliness that Damon is going through. So it is kind of weird that this film is coming out right now during this time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, what did you bring to this role in terms of on a personal level? I mean, I'm hoping you're not as depressed and sad as Damon, but you know, honestly, I think that there's a lot of parts of his character that I think we all relate to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Damon in me. You know, I go through periods where I feel just as lonely as him, and you know, have to navigate that, and so I think exploring that aspect of him was pretty deeply personal. I think everybody experiences loneliness at some point in their lives. Sometimes some people more than others, but I think you know, he goes through this kind of transformation that's really more about his confidence than it is his body, even though he's working on physical fitness. and like trying to get healthier with Kara's character, with Phoebe, you know,
Yeah.
helping him work out and stuff like that. But she's sort of sees the opportunity to build up his confidence. And I can totally relate to that, because the business that I'm in, it comes with so many knocks and mini failures all the time. With every audition, you know, you're constantly going out for jobs and you're
Right.
not getting most of them. So you're facing rejection constantly. And it's a really tough mental battle that you have to be willing to go through. And so, yeah, watching Damon kind of become a more confident man through the process of the film, both in himself and also with his interaction around others and his love for Phoebe, I can totally relate to that. And I think I really I tried to bring as much as my own experience with that to the role.
Yeah, speaking of Phoebe Cara-G, she's so good in this. And man,
Yeah.
the camera loves that girl. Really. Yeah.
Yeah. She just sparkles. Like, you can't take your eyes off of her. She's so watchable and so compelling, and she brings so much to her roles. I mean,
Yeah, she really does. And she did with this one especially. And I was wondering about the chemistry between the two of you. Was it instant? Had you known her before you even started working on this?
Yeah, we had known each other through, you know, various functions and things like that in the Canadian film world for a couple of years, but we'd never worked together before. But we also had like a really good banter going on whenever we were together, where we're just kind of, we still do. We still take little jabs at each other, and we really have a lot of fun together. I adore her. I think she's wonderful. I think she's super talented, and she's become a good friend of mine down here as well. And since doing that film, she's become a good friend. So, you know, nothing but love for her.
Yeah. How would you, Christian, adapt if you were able to go to Mars? Would you even want to?
I mean, right now, I think more than anything, I've been watching a lot of films and doing some research for a script that I'm writing that takes place in Scandinavia. And so every time I watch a film that takes place somewhere else, like in nature, that's where I want to be right now. I want to be in like a little cottage somewhere in like Iceland or Norway, or, you know, even like Northern Ontario. I've done a lot of work up there, and I love Northern Ontario.
Yeah, Carter. Isn't Carter all shot up there? Yeah.
Carter is shot up in North Bay, Ontario. Shout out to North Bay. And just so beautiful up there. And, you know, during a time like this where I'm in a very urban part of Los Angeles and it's a heat wave, it's very hot. Again, I'm not going to complain about that. But I will say, instead of Mars, I would love to be in nature, because at least in nature you can walk around without a mask on. If it's just you, little bubbling brook and a stream to keep you calm, and jump in the lake. You know, Mars would just be too indoors for me. At least here I can put on a mask and go for a walk out in the sun. In Mars, you gotta like suit up. You got a full hazmat, you know, space suit. And I think that would just be too claustrophobic for me.
Yeah, I completely get it. That's for sure. I want to ask you a little bit about some other stuff that you've done, of course, because I was a #1 fan of Orphan Black. Man, when that ended, I was just so depressed, honestly. You were so good in it. And I always give props to Tatiana, because honestly, she is one of the best actresses we have, and people just don't appreciate her as much as they should. Taking on all of those roles in Orphan Black was just, I can't even put it in words how outstanding it was. I mean, every time you saw a different character, you seriously believed it was a different actor.
And that was the same on set. Like,
right. Okay.
One character the whole time. And then when I finally started meeting other clones in the show, I would run into Tat on set as someone else, and it would really throw me, because I was like, who are you? Like, even the way she would move and interact, even off camera, would be like that character. It'd really throw you off.
Right. And I wanted to know, I mean, you're playing Donnie on the show, and listen, there's still a lot of people who have not seen Orphan Black, and I strongly advise, you guys have no excuse now. You can binge this show. It's available, so watch it. But you playing Donnie, having to play opposite every different character that Tatiana played, I mean, that had to have been a huge challenge for you.
It was a fun challenge for me. I mean, the bigger challenge was obviously going to Tat, who just had to really delineate these characters and have the energy to play all of them. I mean, the most marvelous thing about what she does in that show from a technical perspective is she's in almost every single scene.
Exactly.
Certainly in the first season, the first couple seasons, but like almost for the whole show, she's in like everything. And so that schedule is insane, and our hours were super long. For me, I would just come in for a couple days an episode. We would shoot 7 to 9 days per episode, depending on the season. Usually got more and more because we realized the technical requirements of the show were so difficult and needed time. And I would come in for, if it was like a light Donnie episode, just a couple days. If it was a heavier Donnie episode, it would be like 4 or 5 days of that. And I'm just keeping up. My whole job there is to support Tat and to keep up with her, because she's present, she's on the run, and you're just, you know, trying to keep up, which is such an acting gift, because when you're working with someone who can pull performances out of you, you just connect so easily, or at least I found that Tat and I connected really well. And so we would improv a lot. We'd have a lot of fun between scenes, and also ramping up into a scene and coming out of a scene. We would usually improv on both ends, and they would use some of that sometimes. And I gotta tell you, when you're improvising with a different character like Helena, you're improvising with a different person. I mean, it's nuts. It's so much fun, and it was just such a joy for us to get to work together, I think.
Well, you know, I'm watching all this stuff online, and people are getting back together. A lot of old TV shows, you know, Josh Gad is getting together, people from Goonies and all this stuff. Now, I was going to ask you before I found this out this morning, but I was going to ask if you guys were thinking about doing even a charity reunion. But then I understand that HomeCon is coming up, where all of you will be getting together and that people can interact with you. Can you tell me a little bit about that? That's really exciting.
Yeah, there's, so we're working on trying to, all the cons are shut down around the world right now.
Yes.
Obviously. So, you know, people are trying to figure out a good way to get it up and running in some way, so that people can connect, fans can connect with their favorite shows. And so Paul Amos, who is a buddy of mine and an actor who lives in Canada, he's sort of organized trying to put together these home cons and try and do like these interactions through Zoom. And yeah, so we don't normally do a con like that as a cast. We haven't yet. We've done like the big ones that the show sent us to. So this one's going to be fun, and I don't know who the final lineup is right now. I think that's still being worked out. But there's that coming up, and if people keep an eye on Twitter and Instagram, they might see something else popping up very soon as well.
Oh, good stuff. That's awesome.
I sent out a little bit of a hint photo. We had a whole cast reunion a few weeks ago.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. I posted a snapshot of all of us saying something wicked this way comes, and something fun is really coming down the pipeline as well. So there's stuff that we are hoping to do, and yeah.
That's amazing.
I don't want to announce it before.
No, totally understood.
He announces it, but there is something coming up.
Good. Well, we look forward to that. You know,
really fun for charity.
That fantastic, even better. Yeah, we've seen you in so many things, you know, over the years. Of course, you were in Carter. We hope that will come back. We don't, you know, given the circumstances.
Everything is like
on hold. We get it. You know, we saw you in The Handmaid's Tale. You made an excellent doctor, might I add. You know,
thank you.
another creepy show, but I love it. And you know, you were in the horror film Ready or Not. Like, you're doing a lot of stuff. And I wanted to know from your perspective, when you get a script, like, what is it that, you know, kind of catches your eye and you go, I really want to be a part of something like this?
Well, I have to preface this with saying that I'm not in the part of my career where I generally get a ton of scripts and they're like, hey, are you interested in this? Every once in a while I do. And that's like the most wonderful feeling in the world as an actor. You know, as your career grows, you want to be able to get to that part, because I hate auditioning. But
you wouldn't, honestly. I'm not an actor, but that would scare me to death. I don't know.
It is terrifying. But every once in a while I do get a script that comes across my way, or even an audition, and my agents will always ask, and my managers, they'll always ask, like, if you're interested, would you like to audition for this? So I can always turn down an audition, but I generally like everything that I see, and I want to work in as many different projects and genres and mediums as possible, whether it's film, television, theater, etc. podcasts even. I love doing podcasts. And when I get like even just audition sides, like for Ready or Not, my agent emailed me the sides, and I didn't have the whole script, but I read the sides, and I just knew exactly what they were going for in the film. I knew exactly the genres that they were mixing in. It was something that I'm a big fan of in terms of that type of horror, comedy, action. And I just had a feeling like, oh God, I really want to be in this one. And I didn't have the full script. I just had like a couple scenes to film, and I filmed them in my kitchen. It was a self-tape. It wasn't even an in-person.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so a friend came over. This was obviously a while ago before this whole situation, and helped me out. And I just, I just saw that script, and I thought, I don't know. It was one of those things where you're like, I feel really good about this.
Yeah.
I feel really good with the words in my mouth. Like it just fits. It just fits.
You just know.
Yeah. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you come across a script that just works, and other ones just take a lot of work to get it to a place that it feels like you. So that's what I look for mostly. If it sits naturally in my voice, if it feels me coming out immediately, then I know that I connect to it and that it's a good script. Even if I didn't have the full script, like I knew that whole script was going to be so much fun and exactly what I wanted to be working on. And it was. And that doesn't happen that often, but I love when it does.
Yeah, and you do a lot of series work, of course, and we love seeing you in that. And do you prefer doing the series stuff over a film, or because you can flesh out your character a little bit more, or it doesn't really matter to you?
Yeah, there's pros and cons to both. I mean, I've always loved film, and we're living in kind of a TV world right now because people really want stories that can be extended over 10 episodes or longer. I mean, a writer would love, I mean, I'm writing a feature film script right now, and, I have to keep economy in mind to try and write this thing, but and also cutting your darlings and making it shorter. And of course, the thing is too long. But with television, you really get a lot more space to explore. But I really do love film, and I would love to work more in film just because I love the excitement of, I mean, who knows when we can do this again, but going to the cinema, grabbing my popcorn and watching, something unfold on screen that blows me away. I love that. And it almost becomes a more public activity compared to like TV, which you watch at home. So I love the expansion of television and how we can explore these characters. Like Donnie on Orphan Black was supposed to be in only like 3 to 6 episodes in the first season, and then they were going to kill him off. And then
you did such a great job. There's that I would have been like pissed if they got rid of Donnie, because he was a great foe for Allison. I mean, you guys were so good together.
Well, I think Tat and I had a lot of fun together, and also the writers and the directors, we all had fun working together, and they saw a lot of potential for comedic relief with these
Absolutely.
two characters.
Yeah.
And you need that in a show that dark and that heavy. So I loved that in that show where I came in the 3rd episode, they were already up and running. We didn't know what the show was. We just called it our weird little show. And I was a day player at the very start. And we just grew and expanded and like really went down the rabbit hole of what these characters were. And you can't do that in a film. I mean, so there are pros and cons, but I mean, ultimately, I love to work. I love this job. I love acting. I love entertaining people. And if there's a message, even better. And I just hope I get to do it. But who knows what's going to happen with the business these days?
You know what? It will come back. It might not be next month, and it might not be 3 months. Who knows? It's going to come back.
It might be until we get the vaccine. I mean, who knows?
We just hope it all will. But listen, we just hope best of luck to you and everything. Red Rover, people can watch it on video on demand next week, May 12th, I believe it is. And just such a pleasure to talk to you, Christian. I've always been such a big fan of yours, and so I really appreciate your time. And we just can't wait to get you back in Toronto and come see your family.
Me too. I cannot wait. It's my mom's 80th birthday on Monday.
Oh, happy birthday, Mom. Say something to her.
Hey, Mom, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you. This is all because of your influence. So thank you for supporting me all these years. I love you. You're the best mom in the world. Happy 80th birthday.
Oh, that's amazing. Right after Mother's Day. Perfect, huh? Exactly. Yeah. That's great. Well, thank you again for your time. I really do appreciate it. And Well, hopefully we'll see you back here in the city someday soon. We can have a coffee together or something.
That would be nice. I would love that.
Okay. Have a great day. Nice weekend.
Okay,
Thank
Bobby.
you. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.